The Bitterroot Mountains are a grand range that rises up above the Bitterroot Valley in western Montana. This area has an interesting human history and tells a spectacular geologic story. Some 50 million years ago, these mountains rose through uplift and faulting. More recently, the landscape has been shaped by glacial and human forces, and this beautiful area remains seismically active today along the Bitterroot Fault. Now we're walking on a trail on a glacial moraine. So this was piled up during the last glaciation, and what you can see in front of us now is Como Peak, part of the Bitterroot Mountains. And so we're in an area that was formed by both tectonics and glaciation. The mountains were uplifted through tectonics and then glaciated. And so like I said, we're on the moraine from the last glaciation. Lake Como down to the right was formed by glaciers carving out the valley, and it's been enhanced by damming the river, making the lake bigger. And so this is just an incredible spot to see the combination of tectonics and glaciation making these beautiful landforms in this part of Montana. Here we are on a beautiful trail on the side of Lake Como, and what we found on the left here is a rock slide. You can consider it nature's rock garden. Now it's a little bit of cheating because this is a huge area, and what I'm doing is taking an area that have collected a bunch of rocks from the Bitterroot Mountains, and we want to think about the formation of those mountains. So the hypothesis is that a rock like this, a granite, you can see it's totally randomly oriented, was in the crust, cooling and crystallizing. And then because it was warm, it started to rise to the surface. So it's uplifted to the surface. And we have evidence for that in the rock I found here, what's called an Augen gneiss. So these are Augen, these feldspars. Augen is German for eyes, and these eyes are looking at you, and then you can see the material is flowing around them. As you get more and more flow, you can see it becomes more extreme, where you have the flow concentrating on these thin bands of fine-grained material. And it gets even more and more pronounced here in this rock, where you have multiple bands of fine material flowing around all the other crystals. Here we really get extreme, where we have almost all fine-grained material taking up that flow. So the rock is being stressed, and it's responding by flowing in these bands. And that can happen while the material is at depth and it's warm enough and there's enough pressure. But when you get towards the surface, it'll start to become brittle and break. And so you have the same rock here, and we have evidence right here in what are called slicken sides. So this is evidence for friction in the rock where it was breaking. There's actually enough friction to heat up and melt that rock a little bit and create these slicken sides. So that's evidence for faulting towards the surface. So as we think about this whole system, we go from at depth, sitting there, moving to the surface, deforming in a ductile way, to when we get quite close to the surface and we have faulting, and we get this in the brittle regime. So this awesome rock pile, nature's rock pile, shows us the evidence for what we think happened in the formation of the Bitterroot Mountains 40 or 50 million years ago. And now we have this wonderful place to come and check it out. Now we're out in the forest east of the Bitterroot Mountains, and I'm with Dr. Gaviot, and he's showing me what's called a fault scarp. And so I'm walking up this hill, which is evidence of an earthquake rupturing the surface. This one happened around 65,000 years ago, and the whole thing, probably a series of earthquakes, big ones, magnitude 7, something like that, displaced the ground 20 feet. So where Dr. Gaviot used to be up here at the top. Just pausing here to catch my breath. It's a big hill. If you look to the left and look to the right, you can see that this scarp continues along this range front. And so 20 feet of displacement happened during this event 65,000 years ago. And then earthquakes can happen all the way to the present. As we continue, finally reaching the top, you can see the Bitterroot Mountains through the trees. Those formed because of earthquakes 40 or 50 million years ago. So we've had over the last 50 million years, earthquakes happening in this beautiful area. What a place to see tectonics in action. The Bitterroot Mountains are indeed a special place. The mountains were born from great forces of uplift and faulting. Drawn by its beauty and resources, Humans have lived here in the Bitterroot Valley for centuries. We must enjoy this area with caution, however, as activity persists along the Bitterroot Fault, making it an active seismic zone.